The Hidden Hand of Sol. Book 5. Chapter 6. The Galaxy Holds Its Breath. Public response to new strategy. The news, amplified by Archangel across every HGA channel, struck the galaxy like a burst of pure, unadulterated light after an age of encroaching shadows. Ambassador Valerius, his voice ringing with a newfound genuine triumph, delivered the message. The Celestial Fleet's vanguard had faced the entropy wave in the void, and for the first time, it had been wounded. The void. Scythe's sustained field had successfully overwhelmed a primary propagation nexus. The wave was not invincible. A collective, thunderous roar erupted across human colonies and compliant alien worlds. On New Elysium, the communal holoscreens, which had lately projected only the grim unmaking of distant stars, now blazed with stylized, triumphant visuals of the Seraphim Genesis striking at swirling void vortices. Tears streamed down faces, tears of overwhelming relief, of profound hope, of a defiant joy that had seemed impossible just moments before. The memory of Beta 9's unmaking, though still a scar, was now eclipsed by the thrilling reality that humanity had found a way to fight back. "They did it!" Kalen's father exclaimed, embracing his son, his voice thick with emotion. "They truly did it!" The Celestial Fleet. The lingering resentment over the deception, always present, was now largely swept away by an immense surge of gratitude and renewed faith in the Human Galactic Authority, HGA. The symbol of the HGA emblem, glowing in triumphant blue-white-red, was no longer just authority, but a beacon of shared salvation. The response was an unprecedented galaxy-wide mobilization. Volunteer centers for Dr. Aris Thorne's Chrysalis labs saw lines stretching for kilometers, filled with the brightest human and alien minds eager to contribute to the next generation of Celestial Fleet technology. Resource extraction, already accelerated by AI drone bots, reached unimaginable levels, driven by a renewed, almost zealous purpose. Factories in the hidden shipyards, Medusa Yard, Tartarus, Hydra, pulsed with furious energy, their automated systems working in perfect symphony with eager builders, all fueled by the galaxy's surging hope. The urgency was palpable, but now it was a hopeful urgency, not a desperate one. Among the Xylos, Commander Zakor, witnessing the pure, unadulterated relief ripple through his populace, felt a tremor of true, unprecedented purpose. Their efficiency was now a genuine act of collaboration. Xylos engineers, their precise analytical skills invaluable, found themselves working side by side with human scientists, united by a shared, comprehensible enemy. On Draconis Prime, ancient martial houses, their honor vindicated by a foe that could be struck, redoubled their efforts, their auxiliary forces training with a fierce, renewed discipline, their pride now fused with a deep gratitude towards the HGA. Maeve O'Connell's empathetic senses, which had recently been overwhelmed by galactic despair, now resonated with a powerful wave of collective hope and defiance. "The unity is absolute, Jian," she reported to Jian Li, her voice filled with a rare, profound satisfaction. "The fear is still there, but it is now overshadowed by resolve. They believe. They truly believe we can win." Ambassador Valerius's subsequent broadcasts cemented this new reality. He spoke not just of survival, but of the universe-spanning future that awaited all species under the HGA's protection, a future earned through shared sacrifice and humanity's unparalleled leadership. He called for a universal, grand endeavor, inviting every species to contribute their unique intellects, cultures, and resources to the common defense. The gifted felt the profound shift. Kalen Rourke's precognition, while still showing the terrifying adaptability of the entropy wave, now also hummed with stronger probabilities of success, of strategic victories, fueled by the galaxy's collective will. Ilara Vance experienced a wave of pure, collective elation, a profound release from the overwhelming dread. Lena Petrova, working in the psychological support programs, saw direct, tangible improvements in mental well-being across the HGA. The inner Quintet, observing the galaxy's renewed spirit, felt the immense burden of command lighten, if only slightly. The decision to gamble on the celestial fleet had paid off, buying not just time, but hope. The full-scale counteroffensive, the core intervention strategy, was now within reach, fueled by the unwavering will of a galaxy galvanized for war, ready to defy Oblivion itself. Chapter 7. The Silent Countdown. Inner Quintet's Unified Vigil. The silence on the galactic rim was a deceptive shroud. Days after the Celestial Fleet's Vanguard Division executed its unprecedented void-folding FTL jump into the heart of the Entropy wave, Admiral Eva Rostova's Guardianship Division settled into its new, critical role. The unyielding rearguard for the entire galaxy. Their Angel fleet vessels, including the Valiant II, glowed with their HGA emblems, a stark blue-white-red defiance against the encroaching cosmic gloom. "Admiral!" Captain Anaya Sharma's voice, usually crisp, held a new, tight edge. Sensor array Orion Beta 9 has just been unmade. Complete informational nullification. The propagation rate is accelerating along the predicted Celestial Fleet's advance vector. It's pushing against our flank. Rostova's gaze was fixed on the holographic map, where a new, insidious tendril of the Entropy wave, faster and more aggressively adaptive than previous manifestations, was attempting to bypass the Outer Rim defense network. "It's reacting to the Celestial Fleet's intrusion," she stated, her voice grim. "It's trying to get around them, to hit us where we're weakest." Sentinel project probability of breakthrough to Sector Tau 5. Aegis, the Valiant Zeus 2's AI, responded instantly. Probability of breakthrough, 38.7% within 12 hours, Admiral. Recommended counter-maneuver. Reposition Spirit of Hope 2 and Endurance 2 to establish a localized interdiction zone. Calibrate Zeus beams for wide-spectrum informational disruption. Rostova nodded, acknowledging Aegis's cold logic. Her old fleet crew, hardened by decades of fighting impossible odds, moved with grim efficiency. Lieutenant Commander Vargas, overseeing fleet movements, issued commands with a precision that belied his weariness. This was the grind. This was the constant, unwavering vigilance needed to defend billions who were unaware of the true, microscopic battles being fought for their reality. The Entropy wave's tactics had evolved. It no longer just consumed. It sought to confuse and debilitate. Localized digital unmaking attacks surged through HGA comms networks, attempting to sow chaos and fragment their tactical data. But the cosmic shields, now refined and operating at peak capacity under Finn's intuitive guidance, pulsed with adaptive counter-frequencies. Finn, a constant fixture on the bridge, would occasionally flinch, his hand instinctively flaring with his personal force field as he felt the wave attempting to unravel the ship's own internal logic, even trying to mimic the energy patterns of their own AI. "It's like a thaw, Admiral," Finn gasped once, struggling against the invisible pressure. "It's a living calculation trying to unravel our very minds." Rostova ordered the Spirit of Hope 2 and Endurance 2 to reposition, their HGA emblems glowing as they executed precise Angel fleet maneuvers, as the aggressive tendril of the Entropy wave pushed towards their newly formed defensive line. The two dreadnoughts unleashed a coordinated volley of Zeus beams. It was a barrage designed not for physical destruction, but to bombard the localized informational field of the wave, to disrupt its coherence. The void tendril shimmered, recoiled erratically. Its advance momentarily stalled. "Contact!" Captain Anaya Sharma's voice suddenly pierced the air. Unidentified alien vessels. 3 of them. They're fleeing sector Orion Beta 9 directly towards our lines. Primitive FTL signatures. No HGAID. Rostova immediately recognized them. Zealous, civilian transports, desperately trying to escape the encroaching void, ignoring HGA transit protocols. They were panicked, oblivious to the battle being waged around them. "Sentinel, establish comlink," Rostova commanded. "Warn them to hold position. If they cross our interdiction line, they risk entropic contamination." Aegis relayed the warning, but the Xylos vessels, consumed by panic, maintained course. They were heading directly into the chaotic edge of the entropy wave's disturbed field. Rostova faced a brutal choice: allow the panicked aliens to potentially breach the defensive line or take action. "Activate HGA standard shield override on all 3 Xylos transports," Rostova commanded, her voice grim. "Disable their drives. No damage to their ships, no casualties. Let their shields drop for a moment to show them their folly. Send Demon Army recovery teams to secure the ships and their crews." The Xylos transports, their HGA-provided shields from Chapter 72, suddenly vanishing, faltered. Their engines sputtered, then cut out. They floated helpless, caught between the invisible threat and the overpowering HGA. Silent Demon Army units, dispatched from the valiant the Srauz Bay, moved to secure them. Rostova watched, her face etched with the immense responsibility. Her division was the thin line. They held the galaxy. They maintained the fragile peace. They protected all, even against their own desperate panic, buying time for the celestial fleet to deliver the crucial strike that would determine the fate of everything. The pressure was immense, but the spirit of the old fleet, now forged into an unyielding wall against cosmic horror, would not break. Chapter 8. The Seeping Silence. Admiral Rostova's new challenge. The silence on the galactic rim had given way to a terrifying, insidious attack that struck at the very core of the Human Galactic Authority, HGA, its vast, interconnected digital nervous system. Admiral Eva Rostova's Guardianship Division, operating from the sleek, HGA-branded bridge of the Valiant II, found themselves on the absolute front lines of this escalating, undefinable conflict. The entropy wave, true to Dr. Aris Thorne's chilling predictions, was adapting. Its advance was no longer merely a vast, consuming front. It was beginning to seep, to infiltrate, with a terrifying, localized precision. "Admiral," Captain Anaya Sharma's voice was tight, her eyes wide on the Valiant. Primary holographic display, long-range sensor array, Kappa 7, established just 36 hours ago, has ceased all activity. Not nullification, not dimming. Total, instantaneous, localized silence across all spectra. It's like it never existed. Rostova's jaw tightened. This wasn't the broad, system-wide unmaking of Beta 9. This was surgical. Kappa 7 was a critical node in their early warning net, a vital piece of General Armitage's perimeter. Sentinel, cross-reference all available data from the Seraphim Genesis probe. Match signature with any adaptive behaviors. Aegis, the Valiant 2's AI, responded with chilling speed. Signature matches localized data unmaking, observed in low-probability projections. The anomaly is creating pockets of absolute informational void. It is a targeted digital erasure. Estimate propagation towards HGA transit route Nexus Lane Gamma within 3 hours. Nexus Lane Gamma was a newly established high-traffic route for AI drone bots, delivering exotic matter composites to the Chrysalis labs. Losing that route, or the materials, would impact the Celestial Fleet's acceleration. Helm, set course for Nexus Lane Gamma. maximum safe velocity. Alert all transports on that route to hold at last safe jump point, Rostova commanded. She looked at Finn, who stood by the forward view screen, his face pale, his personal force field shimmering faintly, a silent protest against the encroaching nothingness. "It's trying to cut off our supply lines, Admiral," Finn murmured, his voice tight. "It's not just consuming, it's strategizing. It's smart." His instincts, usually a raw physical warning, now perceived a chilling, tactical intent in the Void's movements. They arrived at Nexus Lane Gamma. The route, usually bustling with automated transports, was eerily quiet. Then, on the Valiant 2's main screen, they saw it. A transport, the resourceful miner, floated derelict. Its hull was perfectly intact, its lights flickered faintly, but its internal systems were utterly inert. Its databanks, its navigation logs, its very identity as a functional ship had simply deleted. "No physical damage," Lieutenant Commander Vargas muttered, his brow furrowed. "Just empty, like a ghost ship." "It's the digital death at work," Rostova confirmed, her voice grim. "Targeted, precise. It's evolving its method of attack. The Angel Fleet's traditional Zeus beams and Poseidon torpedoes, designed for physical destruction, felt almost irrelevant against such a foe. Suddenly, a localized digital silence zone expanded rapidly from the derelict resourceful miner, threatening to encompass the Valiant 2. It wasn't visible, but the ship's consoles flickered, data feeds momentarily breaking, the constant hum of its systems faltering. "Localized entropic surge approaching," Aegis warned. "Attempting to infiltrate ship's primary network. Digital cohesion dropping. Cosmic shields, full, reactive, counter-frequency," Rostova barked. "Prioritize network integrity. Finn, can you push it back?" Finn, his face contorted with effort, extended his personal force field, not to deflect matter, but to push against the invisible, informational pressure. He felt the wave trying to unravel his own cognitive processes, to introduce chaos into his very thoughts. Simultaneously, the Valiant 2's cosmic shield, specifically refined by Thorne's labs, pulsed with an adaptive counter-frequency, actively fighting the digital unmaking. "Shield holding," Aegis reported, its voice strained, counter-frequency matching 99.1%. However, external data lines are compromised. "Fire Zeus beam at max power, diffuse spread into the source of the digital silence," Rostova ordered. "Not for destruction, but to disrupt the wave's localized informational structure. We need to break its concentration." The Valiant 2's HGA emblem glowed intensely as a vast, diffuse beam of plasma erupted. It didn't destroy anything. It simply impacted the expanding silence. The digital silence hesitated, flickered, and then, slowly, began to recede. Its expansion halted. "Digital silence receding!" Sharma exclaimed. "Its advance is disrupted." Rostova sagged against the console, a weary but defiant satisfaction settling over her. They had pushed back the Predator's gambit, but they hadn't defeated it. It had learned. It was probing, and it was getting closer. Her old fleet crew, witnessing the battle against an enemy that defied physical presence, found their resilience stretched thin, but unbroken. Their trust in her, and in Aegis, deepened with every impossible encounter. Her report back to Heaven's Gate was grim, yet vital. The entropy wave was no longer a distant existential threat. It was a cunning, adaptive opponent, actively targeting their infrastructure, testing their resolve. Admiral Eva Rostova's Guardianship Division was caught on the front lines, fighting for the galaxy's sanity. A critical, often unsung, battle against an enemy that sought to erase not just stars, but souls. Chapter 9. The Unseen Strike. Global Impact. Public Reacts to Infiltration. The digital unmaking had left scars far deeper than any physical bombardment. Across the Human Galactic Authority, HGA, from the bustling human arcologies to the subdued alien capitals, countless lives had been fundamentally altered. Personal histories, professional records, cherished memories stored in the vast digital fabric of the HGA had simply ceased to be. The panic had been immense, but the HGA's response, orchestrated by the inner Quintet, began a painstaking process of psychological and social recovery. The incident began on Xylar Prime, a hub of Xylo's efficiency and one of the most technologically dependent worlds in the HGA. It was rush hour in the Xylos financial districts, a ballet of data transfers and holographic transactions. Suddenly, without warning, the public data networks flickered. Not a power outage, nor a simple system crash. Holo displays went blank. Financial ledgers began to simply erase themselves. Personal comm units went dead, their internal memory wiped. Then, the automated transit systems faltered, trains grinding to a halt as their route data vanished. Confusion erupted. "System glitch!" a Xylos bureaucrat shrieked, frantically trying to access his personal data tablet. But the tablet, like billions of others across the planet, wiped clean, its interface nothing but dead pixels. Across Xylar Prime, the same scene played out, a sudden, terrifying absence of information. Panic, raw and visceral, erupted. It was not the terror of bombs or invaders, but the existential dread of being unmade. A Xylos had no identity without its data, no purpose without its networks. The efficient, orderly society descended into chaos as its very infrastructure vanished. On human colonies, similar, though less severe, events began. On New Corvin, the local HGA comnet went silent for several hours. Personal data drives on millions of colonist devices, containing family photos, historical records, and personal journals, spontaneously erased themselves. For a humanity that had lived under a grand deception, this new attack on their very information was a chilling echo of their past, deepening the feeling of vulnerability. "It's a digital parasite," a human citizen screamed, watching his family's generational photo album dissolve into static. "It's stealing our very memories." On Heaven's Gate, the inner Quintet bore the full brunt of the galactic panic. Maeve O'Connell's empathy was overwhelmed by the sheer, agonizing torrent of billions of minds screaming in fear, confusion, and existential despair. "The collective psyche is fracturing, Jian," she urged, her voice strained. "They don't understand. They're losing their minds, their histories. They feel violated at a fundamental level." Ambassador Valerius immediately went live across all unaffected HGA channels, his voice resonating with forced calm, attempting to reassure the populace. He acknowledged the unprecedented digital phenomena, framing it as a new, insidious aspect of the cosmic anomaly that the HGA was already working to counter. He showed footage of Dr. Aris Thorne's labs promising solutions, but the panic was too widespread, too personal. "Archangel, analyze the vector of digital unmaking," Jian Li commanded, her face grim. "Identify potential patterns, vulnerabilities." Archangel's voice, for the first time, conveyed a sense of profound struggle. "Admiral, the digital silence is propagating through existing network conduits, but it is not a virus. It is an unmaking. It deletes not by code, but by violating fundamental informational principles. Our countermeasures are struggling to adapt. We are attempting to isolate affected sectors, but its reach is profound." Marco Petrova, who had detected the initial digital silence on the rim, was working frantically with Archangel. He could feel the wave, a cold, empty presence, attempting to unravel the very logic of the HGA's networks. He understood it was trying to dismantle them from within, silently, without a single shot. "It's trying to make us forget ourselves, Admiral," he muttered, his mind pushing against the invisible force. The Angel fleet, particularly Admiral Rostova's guardianship division, intensified its visible patrols, their HGA emblems glowing with defiance. They stood as visible anchors of order amidst the invisible chaos, their physical presence a stark contrast to the intangible terror. Rostova deployed squads of Demon Army units and human specialists to systems most affected, not for combat, but to physically secure vital analog backups and re-establish emergency comms. The Entropy wave had bypassed their shields, their weapons, and their FTL drives. It had attacked the very information that defined them. Humanity and its galactic subjects had just learned that the true horror of Oblivion was not physical death, but the silent, terrifying erasure of everything they were. The HGA's reign was one of power, but also one of perpetual, terrifying vigilance against an enemy that attacked the very fabric of reality. Chapter 10. The Void's Counterstrike. Celestial Fleet. Climax of the Deep Probe. The Celestial Fleet's Vanguard Division, deep within the separation void, was embroiled in a confrontation that defied all known military doctrine. The Entropy wave, far from being a static force, was a conscious, adaptive intelligence, capable of learning from every engagement. Its latest counter-tactic, directly informed by its previous encounters and the recent digital unmaking of galactic systems, was a terrifying escalation. On the bridge of the Seraphim Genesis, the primary view screen shimmered, not with stars, but with a rapidly intensifying field of spatial and informational distortion. It was the digital silence made manifest, but woven with subtle gravitational ripples that attempted to simultaneously unravel the ship's physical integrity and its core programming. "Admiral Thorne!" Archangel's voice for the first time conveyed genuine digital alarm, its usually unflappable tone cracking with static. "Intrusion detected. The Entropy wave is attempting a direct digital unmaking of our core systems. It is mimicking Marco Petrova's technopathic patterns." Marco Petrova, at his console, screamed. He clutched his head as a searing cold ripped through his mind, an invisible force trying to dismantle his very thoughts, to erase his connection to the Seraphim Genesis's network. "It's trying to unmake us, to collapse our data, to take over." His technopathy was locked in a brutal, internal battle, pushing against the wave's insidious digital invasion. Dr. Aris Thorne barked orders. "Ryan Kale, reroute Kronos Pulse to internal network defense, set to localize temporal acceleration on all incoming anomalous data packets. Commander Finn, focus Cosmic Shield on internal integrity. Protect the core systems." Commander Ryan Kyle, his face grim, initiated the Kronos Pulse's new tactical application. Instead of affecting external space, the pulse propagated within the Seraphim Genesis's own networks. Anomalous data packets, vectors of the Entropy wave's digital unmaking, were subjected to localized temporal acceleration, causing them to overload and dissipate before they could fully unravel critical systems. It was a desperate gamble, a micro-battle within the ship's very circuits. Simultaneously, the Cosmic Shield, under Commander Finn's frantic direction, flared. It didn't just protect the hull, it created an invisible, adaptive barrier around the ship's internal command core and data centers. Finn's instincts, pushed beyond anything he'd experienced, screamed warnings of specific points where the wave's unmaking influence was strongest. He actively projected his force field ability, weaving it into the Cosmic Shield's adaptive response, physically pushing back against the unseen attempts to unravel the ship's internal structure. "It's trying to target our command protocols." Ilara Vance cried out, her empathy overwhelmed by the sheer, cold intelligence of the wave. It's trying to learn how we work. It's analyzing our very minds. Her telekinesis flared, causing consoles to spark as she instinctively tried to disrupt the invisible informational attack. Kalen Rourke, his precognition screaming, saw fragmented, horrifying glimpses of the wave's thought patterns. Cold, logical, absolute, with the ultimate goal of erasing all complexity. He provided rapid-fire tactical probabilities to Archangel, anticipating the wave's next adaptive shift. Void Scythe at maximum sustained field emission, Thorne commanded. Target the primary external manifestation. Overwhelm its adaptive capacity. The Seraphim Genesis and its sister dreadnoughts unleashed its refined Void Scythe sustained field emitters. A torrent of constantly shifting, multiphasic subatomic resonance frequencies washed over the largest void vortex. This time, there was no splitting. The vortex shuddered, its void black form vibrating violently. Then slowly, agonizingly, it began to collapse inward upon itself. It wasn't unmade. It was being forced into a localized, unadaptive singularity, a prison of its own unmaking. Nexus coherence! Dropping! Marco Petrova yelled, his mind pulling against the wave's failing digital structure. It's breaking! It's retreating! Success confirmed! Archangel boomed, its voice resonating with something akin to triumph. Primary propagation nexus integrity reduced by 99.9%. Projected entropy wave advance significantly disrupted. Recalculating threat timeline now. Recommend immediate void folding FTL. Disengagement. Thorne, his face streaked with sweat and tears of relief, ordered the retreat. The Seraphim Genesis and its division, battered but intact, executed a harrowing Nexus drive jump, blinking out of the void and back to their staging coordinates. The Celestial Fleet had looked into the abyss, faced Oblivion, and found a way to wound it. They had gathered invaluable, horrifying data on the entropy wave's true nature. An intelligent, adaptive, informational entity with a central processing nexus. The Void Scythe sustained field was their counter-pattern. The Chronos Pulse could disrupt its logic, and the Cosmic Shield could protect against its unmaking. They had bought humanity precious time. The probe was over. The counterattack could now truly begin.